$130 million. That is not a made-up number. That is the amount of money one man on this list earned playing professional football. $130 million. Enough to buy a private island, enough to fund a small country, enough to set up generations of your family for the rest of time. And he went bankrupt. He filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection because every single cent was gone. And he is not alone. Every player on this list earned tens of millions of dollars playing in the National Football League. They signed contracts that most human beings cannot even comprehend. They had the kind of wealth that should have lasted forever. And they lost it all. Not because someone stole it, not because the economy collapsed, but because of decisions. Exposed by court documents, exposed by bankruptcy filings, exposed by the cold, undeniable math of financial ruin. These stories are heartbreaking, they are infuriating, and they are 100% real. Now, before we begin, I need to speak to you directly for just a moment. This channel is brand new, and we are telling the stories that the NFL does not put in its highlight reels. The dark side, the human side, the side that makes you feel something real. And if that is the kind of content you have been searching for, then I am begging you, take 1 second, just one, and hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Every single subscriber pushes this channel forward, and we are on a mission to build the greatest NFL history community on all of YouTube. So subscribe, be part of this from day one, and let us get into the 10 poorest NFL players in history. We begin at number 10 with a name that everyone knows, but a financial story that very few people truly understand. Michael Vick. Over the course of his NFL career, Michael Vick earned more than $130 million. Let me give you some context for that number. If you earned $100,000 a year, which is more than most families in America make, it would take you over 1,300 years to earn what Michael Vick earned playing football. 13 centuries. And in 2008, Michael Vick filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The dogfighting scandal had already destroyed his reputation and his freedom. 21 months in federal prison stripped him of his liberty, but the financial collapse stripped him of everything else. Legal fees in the millions, exposed debts coming from every direction, properties he could no longer afford, a lifestyle built on the assumption that the money would never stop flowing. And when it stopped, there was nothing underneath to catch him. Now here's what separates Vick from every other name on this list. He came back. He returned to the NFL, rebuilt his career with the Philadelphia Eagles, and slowly, painfully clawed his way back to financial stability. It is a redemption story, a real one, but it does not erase the fact that a man who earned over $130 million had to stand before a federal bankruptcy court and admit that he was broke. That image should haunt every young athlete who believes the money will last forever.
At number 9, we have Clinton Portis, a two-time Pro Bowl running back who dazzled fans with the Washington franchise and the Denver Broncos for nearly a decade. Portis earned approximately $43 million during his playing career. $43 million! And in 2015, he filed for bankruptcy. But here is what makes Clinton Portis' story different from so many others. He did not blow his money on mansions and jewelry. According to his own testimony, he was misled. Financial advisors, the people he trusted to protect his wealth, guided him into investments and decisions that drained his accounts dry. Portis later testified about the betrayal he felt, about trusting people who wore suits and spoke in financial jargon and promised him that his money was safe. And by the time he realized the truth, there was nothing left to save. Clinton Portis is not just a cautionary tale about spending. He is a cautionary tale about trust, about the predators who circle young athletes the moment they sign their first contract, waiting for the opportunity to take everything. Number 8 takes us to a quarterback who was once the heartbeat of an entire city, Bernie Kosar. In Cleveland, Kosar was more than a football player. He was a religion. The man who led the Browns through some of the most memorable, most heartbreaking moments in franchise history. Over his career, Kosar earned approximately $19 million, and in 2009, he filed for bankruptcy. The money had vanished into a graveyard of failed business ventures and financial guarantees that collapsed like dominoes. Kosar had co-signed loans, he had invested in ventures that promised enormous returns and delivered nothing but debt. He had trusted the wrong people and made decisions based on loyalty rather than logic. And when the dust settled, the man who once threw touchdowns in front of 80,000 screaming fans in Cleveland could not pay his bills. $19 million. Gone. Not over a lifetime, over just a few years of bad decisions and misplaced trust. Bernie Kosar gave everything he had to the city of Cleveland, and then he gave everything he had to people who did not deserve it. At number 7, we have a story that is as painful as it is staggering. Travis Henry, a running back who played for the Buffalo Bills, the Tennessee Titans, and the Denver Broncos. Henry earned approximately $13 million during his NFL career, and he lost every cent of it. But the reason Travis Henry went broke is unlike anyone else on this list. Court records revealed that Henry had fathered children with multiple women across the country. The child support obligations alone were financially crushing. Payments owed in multiple states, legal battles in multiple jurisdictions, a web of personal responsibilities so vast and so expensive that no amount of NFL money could sustain it. Travis Henry did not lose his fortune to bad investments or crooked advisors. He lost it to the consequences of his own personal choices, compounded over years until the math simply became impossible. $13 million sounds like a fortune, but divided across enough obligations, enough legal fees, enough garnished wages, and it disappears faster than you could ever imagine.
Number 6 is a story that should make you sit in silence for a moment. Chris McAlister, a 3-time Pro Bowl cornerback who spent the majority of his career with the Baltimore Ravens, a Super Bowl champion, a man who earned approximately $55 million playing professional football. $55 million. And in a 2011 court hearing, Chris McAlister sat before a judge and testified under oath that he had no income. None. Zero. A man who had earned $55 million told a court that he was financially broke. No savings, no investments generating returns, no safety net of any kind. $55 million had simply evaporated, gone into a lifestyle that was built on the assumption that the paychecks would never end. But NFL careers do end. They end suddenly, they end without warning, and when Chris McAlister's career was over, so was everything else. There is something deeply haunting about a man sitting in a courtroom, wearing a suit he probably could barely afford, telling a judge that the $55 million is gone. All of it. Every last dollar. That is not just financial failure, that is an entire life collapsing in on itself. We're halfway through this list, and the numbers are only getting more staggering from here. The top 5 includes men who earned even more money and lost it in even more devastating ways. We are talking about a man whose girlfriend literally burned his house down. We are talking about a running back who went from the Super Bowl to the bankruptcy court. And at number 1, we have a Hall of Fame legend whose financial collapse was so extreme, so thoroughly documented, that it became the textbook example of how the NFL fails its players after the game is over. If you are still here, if these stories are hitting you the way they should be, make sure you are subscribed, drop a like on this video, and let us continue. Number 5. Jamal Lewis, the man who rushed for 2,066 yards in a single season with the Baltimore Ravens, a number so massive that only a handful of running backs in history have ever reached it. Lewis earned approximately $27 million over his career, and in 2012, he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, listing millions in debt.
Think about that timeline. 2003, Jamal Lewis is one of the most dominant players in football, running through defenses like they do not exist. Less than a decade later, he is sitting in a bankruptcy attorney's office, listing debts he cannot pay. The speed at which NFL wealth disappears is almost incomprehensible. These are not gradual declines, these are free falls. One day you are cashing checks that have 6 and 7 figures on them. The next day, you are filing paperwork that says you have nothing. Jamal Lewis ran for over 10,000 career yards. He could not outrun his finances. At number 4, we have one of the most electrifying wide receivers of the 1990s, Andre Rison. Bad Moon Rison, a 5-time Pro Bowl selection who could stretch a defense and score from anywhere on the field. Over his career, Rison earned approximately $19 million, and in 2007, he filed for bankruptcy. But the story of Andre Rison's financial collapse cannot be told without mentioning one of the most infamous incidents in NFL lore. In 1994, Rison's then-girlfriend, Lisa Left Eye Lopes of the music group TLC, set fire to his mansion. The house burned to the ground. And instead of that being a wake-up call, a moment of reckoning, Rison continued spending at a pace that his income could not sustain. Cars, jewelry, entourages, the trappings of wealth without the foundation of financial literacy. By the time the paychecks stopped coming, there was nothing left to show for any of it. Andre Rison had his house literally burned to the ground, and he still did not change course. That is not just a financial failure, that is an entire life collapsing in on itself.
Number 3, Mark Brunell. A 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback who spent the best years of his career with the Jacksonville Jaguars, leading them to the AFC Championship game and establishing himself as one of the most respected signal callers of his era. Brunell earned approximately $50 million during his NFL career. $50 million. And in 2010, he filed for bankruptcy with over $20 million in liabilities. $20 million in debt, after earning $50 million. The culprit was real estate. Brunell had invested heavily in property developments and franchise businesses that were decimated when the housing market collapsed in 2008. Whirlpool developments that were supposed to generate passive income for decades instead became anchors that dragged him to the bottom of a financial ocean. And here's the cruel irony. Mark Brunell did not spend his money on frivolous luxuries. He tried to invest it. He tried to be smart. He tried to build something beyond football. And the market destroyed him anyway. Brunell's story is a reminder that even when an athlete does the right thing, even when they try to plan for the future does not always cooperate. $50 million, and the real estate market took every penny of it. Number 2, Vince Young. The man who delivered one of the greatest performances in college football history, leading the Texas Longhorns to a national championship with a Rose Bowl performance that will be replayed for the rest of time. The 3rd overall pick in the 2006 NFL Draft, a player who was supposed to be a franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. Vince Young earned approximately $35 million during his professional career. And in 2014, he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, listing millions in debt. But what makes Vince Young's story so devastating is not just the amount of money he lost, it is how he lost it. Reports indicated a lifestyle of excessive spending that bordered on the surreal. Expensive dinners for large groups of people he barely knew, luxury items purchased on impulse, financial decisions made without any guidance, any structure, any plan. Vince Young was 21 years old when he became a millionaire. 21. He had never been taught how to manage money. He had never been taught how to say no. And the people around him, the agents, the advisors, the friends, the family members with their hands out, none of them taught him either. They just watched him spend, and when the money ran out, they disappeared. Every single one of them. Vince Young did not just go broke, he was abandoned. And that is a pain that no amount of money can fix.
And now, number 1, the most devastating financial collapse in NFL history. Warren Sapp, a 7-time Pro Bowl selection, a first-team All-Pro, a Defensive Player of the Year, a Super Bowl champion, a Pro Football Hall of Famer, one of the most dominant defensive tackles the sport has ever produced. Over his NFL career, Warren Sapp earned approximately $82 million. $82 million. And in 2012, he filed for Chapter 7 of bankruptcy. Not Chapter 11, which allows for restructuring and recovery. Chapter 7, total liquidation. Everything must go. When the court documents were made public, the details were staggering. Sapp listed assets of approximately $6.4 million against liabilities of approximately $6.7 million. He owed money to everyone: unpaid child support, creditors, tax obligations. The court ordered the liquidation of his personal property, including his most prized possessions, his football memorabilia, his Hall of Fame ring. The physical symbols of everything he had accomplished on the football field were stripped away and sold to pay debts that never should have existed in the first place. Imagine that for a moment. You spend your entire life working toward greatness. You achieve it. You reach the highest level your profession has to offer. You are inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then you watch as strangers auction off your memories to the highest bidder because you cannot afford to keep them. Warren Sapp did not just lose his money. He lost the tangible evidence of his legacy. The rings, the jerseys, the awards, all of it placed on a table and sold to pay for a life that spiraled out of control. $82 million. And at the end, he could not even hold on to the things that reminded him of who he used to be. That is not a football story. That is a tragedy, a deeply human tragedy about identity, about purpose, and about what happens when the only thing you were ever taught to do is play football, and then one day the football is gone. Here is the truth that the NFL does not want to talk about. According to a study published by the National Bureau of Economic Research, approximately 16% of NFL players file for bankruptcy within 12 years of retirement. 16%, 1 in 6. These are not isolated incidents. This is a systemic failure, a failure of education, a failure of the league to prepare its players for life after football, a failure of the financial advisors who circle these young men like vultures the moment they sign their rookie contracts, and a failure of a culture that teaches athletes to earn like kings, but never teaches them to manage like adults. Every single man on this list gave his body to this sport. He absorbed hits that would hospitalize most human beings. He sacrificed his health, his time, and his youth for the entertainment of millions. And when the game was done with him, he was left standing in a courtroom, listing debts he could not pay, wondering where it all went. If this video moved you, if it made you think about the game differently, then I need your help. Subscribe to this channel. We are telling the stories that matter, the ones behind the touchdowns and the trophies, the human stories, the real stories. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling me which story on this list affected you the most, and I promise you the next video we release will hit just as hard, if not harder. Subscribe, join this community, and I will see you in the next one.